What's the worst piece of advice an adult gave you as a child? My mum told me that I just had to tell bullies that my mum loves me and they'd leave me alone. Your mother may have hated you. Extra late term abortion. For the love of God, was she never a child herself? She was probably a bully. My mother told me to dumb down to get a man. Women are sometimes the biggest misogynists. Depends on what kind of man you want. Your mum was obviously shooting for the kind of man who likes a dumbass subservient wife. Not so much advice, but that stupid lie moms always tell when your facial hair comes in. If you shave it off, the hair will grow back thicker and fuller. Honestly mom, I probably would have preferred. You look ridiculous with that wispy, 14-year-old man, boy beard. Cut it off your face. Seriously, the second one is 10 times more effective anyway, especially if you remind them that they'll never get girls if they look like they've got the mange. Every time I hear that I ask why guys, who have thinning hair, who shave their heads don't have the thickest freaking lion's manes in town. Because they shave it off, duh. I wasn't a child when I was given this gem, but I was once told that having a baby would cure my depression. You know, because babies make everything better. Postpartum plus standard depression equals? They cancel out. Well yeah, that's just math. Two negatives equal a positive. The hypothesis is foolproof. You can eat an entire spoonful of wasabi in one bite. It tastes like mint. My father, whom I no longer trust. These are the best years of your life. Makes it too easy to accept mediocrity later on. I hated so much to hear that. I heard that all the time in high school and it was the most depressing thought ever. First, I hated high school. Second, did this mean it was all downhill for the rest of my life? I think that's said by people who are immensely dissatisfied with their own lives and so look back fondly on whatever period of their lives they're talking about. Anybody who considers high school to be the best years of their life peaked way too early. Life has easily gotten better every year. And by the time I'm 40, I can buy a douche car and get a mistress. Looking up. What they meant to say was these are the years of your life in which you have the fewest responsibilities and the most freedom. Every year of my life so far has been more interesting to go through than the last. Live, learn, regret nothing. Sometimes, when you want something, the best way to go about getting it is to say nothing. I wanted a new couch, because our old one was worn out, but I decided not to say anything to my husband. A few months later, he looked at the couch and said this couch is worn out, maybe we should get a new one. Yup, great advice third grade teacher. When you want something, tell no one and do nothing. Yeah, she said that to shut you guys up. The absolute worst advice I received was by my high school counselor. During a meeting with her she asked if I had plans to go to college. I enthusiastically started telling her all the schools I wanted to apply to. I also have to preface this anecdote by saying I attended a pool in a city school in Los Angeles. She smiled at me and said, "That's really nice, but how about you look at this list of community colleges? These might be a better fit for you." I asked her why she thought that and she said, "I just don't think you'd be accepted into any of these schools, because you come from a pool area and you probably can't even afford any of them." Holy shit, this blew my hair back. So I got up and left her office. When I received my acceptance letter a couple months later I made a beeline for her office, showed her that letter and ripped her a new one forever telling a student they need to give up on getting into a university. I just wonder how many other kids she did this to. Well, good on you for overcoming their pessimism. The best part was I was the first in my family to go to college. I got the same advice from my HS counselor, Mr. Williams, that asshole. We had our little beginning of the year conference and he asked me what I wanted after graduation. He actually laughed at me when I said I wanted to go to a university, saying basically that I wasn't smart enough. He recommended community colleges or the fricking military. Despite his advice, I applied to the college of my choice, got accepted, won a scholarship, and eventually graduated with honors in 1998, a bachelor's degree in business administration. Oh yay, and I make close to 6 figures now. Suck it, Mr. Williams. If rape is inevitable, then lay back and enjoy it. Actually from my grandmother to my mother, but it was repeated to me, a male, years later. In many ways, it describes her life philosophy. Sounds Victorian. As soon as you get to college, take out as many student loans as possible, then get a couple credit cards and buy yourself some furniture. It'll help build your credit. I definitely didn't have troll parents. They thoroughly believed this to be true. My dad told me just the opposite, to not get a credit card and use cash for everything. Then it came time to get a house, and having had a credit card for only several months made it much more difficult. You do need to establish a credit history, but not go overboard with it. I've had the same credit card since I was 18. I've paid the full balance every month since age 25. This made getting a good loan for my car last year much less painful. Exactly. Get a credit card. Buy things that you have the cash for, but on your card. Pay it off and don't accrue any interest. Get rewards. Get credit. My mother, who's a nurse, once told my brother that if you cut your tongue then you'd bleed to death cause there's no way to get a band-aid to stay on. She was probably just trolling. Don't play on the computer, it'll rot your brain. Great advice. Glad those things didn't catch on. The internet's a fad anyway. Technology is cyclical. Pagas are going to come back. Don't worry about your undergrad major. Just pick one of the humanities and then go to law school. I feel your pain. Now that I have doubts about law school. What will I do with a humanities major? Frick her senseless and get free lattes when she's at work. Don't be an organ donor. They won't try as hard to save you if they can use your organs. It is at once the worst and most ingenious advice I was given to help me with girls. Just be yourself. It held me back until I realized what it was saying. Myself was an awkward shy guy who knew his robotics and not his women, a follower type of guy. I thought that this advice was saying that if I just did what I have always done it would happen for me. It took a long time of me being what I recognized as myself to realize that this wasn't working. It isn't about being yourself, it is about being the person you want to be. When you are the person you want to be you will be happy with where you are. Your confidence will shine through and you will be a much more personable, positive person. So you can't just be yourself, you just have to be yourself. So you have to be yourself, but you have to be the yourself that you are happy with. It isn't about being yourself, it is about being the person you want to be. Best sentence from above. You're never going to improve upon yourself without trying to be better than who you currently are. A man must constantly exceed his level. Bruce Lee. Homer. Now son, on your first day of school, I'd like to pass on the words of advice my father gave me. Grandpa Simpson. Homer, you're dumb as a mule and twice as ugly. If a strange man offers you a ride, I say, take it. Homer. Lousy traumatic childhood. Homer. Okay, don't panic. Remember the advice dad gave you on your wedding day. Grandpa Simpson. If you ever travel back in time, don't step on anything. Because even the slightest change can alter the future in ways you can't imagine. Homer. The code of the schoolyard. Marge. The rules that teach a boy to be a man. Let's see. Don't tattle. Always make fun of those different from you. Never say anything, unless you're sure everyone feels exactly the same way you do. What else? Homer. Weaseling out of things is important to learn. It's what separates us from the animals. Except the weasel. Learn cursive. You will need to use it later on in life. Then, get to Sats, and fake the hell out of my cursive. Eat all your food. Go to college immediately even if you don't know what you want to do. You will graduate with a degree in art history and be rich. There was a few, but the one that sticks out the most would be not to swim for 30 minutes after eating, because you could get a cramp and drown. Yeah, okay. As a former lifeguard we enforced this rule simply because we didn't want kids to eat, swim around, then vomit up lunch in the water or on the pool deck. When the ice cream van song plays it means it has run out of ice cream. I've missed out on a lot of ice cream because of this. You can be anything that you want to be. Now I'm in prison. Masturbation harms you as well as others emotionally and you physically. Your peanuts will fall off. PFFT. Nice try Catholic education system. As well as others? They must be terrible at fapping. You'll shoot your eye out. When I was about 15 my father gave me the following advice. Never turn down free beer. Never turn down free food. Never turn down free sex. Now I'm an overweight alcoholic and have genital warts. I'm not recommending you for honors since you're not very good at science. You should try something else. 7th grade science teacher. I should now mention I'm pursuing a MD, PhD with a full ride at an Ivy. Get in the van. Sorry bro, I was a different person back then. Me too. Don't worry about critical thinking, just have faith. Thanks, you almost made me LOL in class. This would have been bad. I am the teacher. Jesus is the answer. I don't know how many tests I failed after that. To wait until I was married. That I had to fear a god in order for him to love me. It's perfectly reasonable to fear the Lovecraftian elder gods. And Zeus. True, but Cthulhu makes no claims of loving you. He loves our souls. Our tasty souls.